personality profile, psychological analysis, which can be used during counseling or therapy, and lastly, even marital compatibility can be seen with graphology. You can see that the basis for it are three things: a person's personality, their disposition, and lastly, their character. So, before we begin our video, if you want to sort of analyze your handwriting as well, write this sentence with me, and then you can see your handwriting analysis once the video is over and you have learned some basic graphology. Number one, we're going to be looking at size. So think of this as Goldilocks and the bears. First there's small, large, and then there's average. So small size are shy, withdrawn. They tend to also be better at being concentrated, which in turn leads them to be more focused. So usually people with small handwriting can be very studious. On the other hand, large handwriting people are outgoing. They are more likely to be around people, and so they tend to be very outspoken, and they like to talk. And lastly, they love attention. And then we have the average sized handwriting. These people are very adaptable in whatever situation they're given. They're also very easygoing because of their nature of being able to adapt, and thus they can be seen as well adjusted. Second, we can look at the spacing of our handwriting. Firstly, if you have wide or narrow, or if there is little line spacing and even line spacing. Firstly, for wide letters, you can see there's a wider gap between each letter. These people value their freedom, and they tend to prefer time alone. They do not like crowding, and so they tend to be a bit more introverted. Meanwhile, those with narrow, spaced handwriting are more at ease in a group setting, and so they don't really like being alone, like those who have wide spacing. Then, little line spacing is that space between the first and second line. Now, having a little space can show poor time management. So if your job ever asks you to write a sentence, make sure to have nice spacing between the two lines of your sentences. And then even line spacing where there is more space between the two lines. Show that you are respectful of boundaries. And of course it means that your time management is fine. Thirdly, we'll look at shape. For shape, round, pointed, see where you put the dot on top of your eyes, like in the word quick. That dot is very high up from the line. This can mean that you have great imagination and you reach for things high above you. Next, if the dot is to the left of the line, it can mean that you like to procrastinate a lot. And right in the middle, where it is just right over the line, shows that you are organized and you can be very detail oriented. If you have a circle for your eyes, I don't see this much often, but it shows that you are childlike and also visionary. You just think differently from other people. And lastly, if your eye is a slanted slash, it can mean that you are overly self-critical and can also point to you being impatient. So, if you see anyone slash their eyes, it could mean those things. Lastly, crossing T's. If the cross is high above the line, it can mean you're ambitious and you have increased high self-esteem compared to other people. If it's just right in the middle, it means that you are currently confident and comfortable with yourself and who you are. And lastly, if the cross is below, it could mean that you lack determination, and it could also point to you being lazy. So that is one more thing to avoid. Lastly, open versus closed for the letter O. Now, if you see the difference between the two, you see left is a little opened and the right is closed. Open means that you are talkative. You like being social, so you tend to be extroverted and express your feelings openly. Now, on the other hand, if it's closed, private, introverted, this is the final product, guys. And thank you so much for watching. If you find that there's some things you want to change on your handwriting based on what you've learned today, feel welcome to change it. It's actually a form of therapy for people to change their handwriting and basically change their outlook on themselves or on life. But thanks so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.